So, when it comes to dealing with anxiety, obviously everybody has differing levels of anxiety. Like, there's people out there who have crippling anxiety to the point where it's the hardest part of their day is leaving their home. And then there's the everyday anxiety that almost everybody, if not everybody, deals with. But it changes. Like, just because you're not normally an anxious person, like, depending on your circumstance, it's going to show up. So having a way to deal with that is very important. In my mind, for me, being able to journal my thoughts is kind of like being like laying out a puzzle. When I have them in my head, I can work through them, but I can't really attach and see where they're connected, and I can't read between the lines and pick apart why I'm thinking these things. So that's why journaling is really, really important to me. What about you?
I don't like. I mean, I write a little bit, but I don't journal like consistently. But I do know that like thought records are a big part of CBT or cognitive behavioral therapy.
Episode 2.
Because like it really helps you to analyze your thoughts and what's the word? Like criticize them almost. You know, like see if they're rational.
Yeah. And like a third person viewpoint on your own mind, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest things that has changed for me is like thinking about the way I think. Because like growing up as a kid, obviously you don't have the self-awareness to realize that you think a certain way. But like once you start to analyze it, you can like help yourself a lot more.
Could you give me an example, if you're comfortable, of like a thought pattern that you found yourself in when you were younger that you have changed or tried to change?
Well, I mean, I guess I'm still working on this.
Well,
but,
of
like,
course, brother, of course.
Yeah, like just like this feeling that I always have to do more.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like it's hard to say if it's better when it's conscious, because like you're aware of your own suffering almost, like whereas if you're not aware of the thought pattern, then it's obviously not as healthy, but you're not like it's not in your face, you know.
Yeah. I don't know. With mental health in general, I don't think the ignorance is bliss. I do agree where you're coming from, because like when the problem is right up in your face, it really is all you're thinking about.
Yeah.
So I get where you're coming from, but I think in the interest of everybody, like without identifying the problems, you can't fix them. And like if it never goes away, then it's going to become a part of who you are, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, obviously it's better to like face them. It's just gonna like kind of go down before it goes up.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But the problem only grows if you ignore it, right? Yeah. And I mean, that's why a lot of people lie to themselves, like about what they're feeling or about what other people do, and they externalize their problems so that they don't have to face it like head on. But
yeah, I was gonna say, like, for me it's just thinking before like I let something go. I've seen you and Earphone really have been very, very helpful for me, because I like the way you guys are willing to reflect to the point where it's like if there's silence in between what we're saying, it doesn't really matter to you guys, because you understand like you're working your way to a point, you know. I've always been inclined to verbal diarrhea. It's like I just throw whatever shows up out of my mouth.
Listen, it was a good interview. You didn't speak much because I got verbal diarrhea, but
And like this is something that I need to fight for every day, but like just seeing the way you guys can employ patience to get to a point but get to it without a bunch of filler it's incredible, you know. And I think that being able to mirror the good people in your life, obviously you don't want to turn into a chameleon, but take those role models wherever you can and be thankful for the lessons they've taught you. Have conversations with them. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, I appreciate that.
Of course, bro.
It's not all virtue though. I don't know. I tend to overthink
Yeah.
like what I'm saying.
the thing is, I'm the same way, but I overthink it and then throw it out. You have the self-control to keep it in your brain. But yeah. The last thing I wanted to touch on, because I think we're getting close to 35 minutes, is The Power of Positive Thinking. It's a book by Vincent Peale. I read it in 2020, and I passed it along to Nicholas. He read it. Tyler read it. Kale read it. So whoever wants to read it next. Look at it. You see this? Look at my glasses. You see those? The Power of Positive Thinking. Need I say more? At Keaton Taylor on Instagram. $10 borrowing fee. The podcast needs money. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good book.
Exactly. But the way Peale looks at it, he's combining active positive thought replacement with faith and spirituality to help control your everyday life. Obviously, like we've been trying to say, there's only so many things you can control. Like, you can control how you act in the face of a situation, but you can't necessarily control you getting that job. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. There's things you should spend your time worrying about and things you shouldn't spend your time worrying about. And, like, this book really...
Wait,
go ahead.
I don't think you should spend any of your time worrying.
Okay, let's attack that.
I don't know if I'm gonna get this exactly right, but there's a quote in Matthew on the Sermon of the Mount: "Worry not for the morrow, for the morrow will bring, or like sufficient for the day, or the evils thereof." Mm-hmm. Your worry will not bring you anything. So like basically, why do it at all?
Okay, so then. Obviously, I agree with you, but that is way easier said than done, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, there is things in your life that you should put time and effort into trying to accomplish, but I don't think you should ever sacrifice your mental health for a goal, if you know what I'm saying. So, like, when it comes to your mental health, I think it's always more important to have the conversation, because regardless of who you're having the conversation with, I think you'll find yourself feeling better, being able to open up the way your brain is thinking about things. I don't know, that might just be my experience.
No, yeah, it makes sense.
But the things I wanted to talk about this book, there's 17 chapters. I'm only going to highlight a few that I really enjoyed. The first one, Believe in Yourself. The second one, which is really important, I reread this chapter yesterday, A Peaceful Mind Generates Power. The fifth chapter, How to Create Your Own Happiness. The seventh chapter, Expect the Best and Get It, or Speak It Into Existence for us, youngins around here. The 13th, An Inflow of New Thoughts Can Remake You. And the 16th, Prescription for Heartbreak. The first time I read this book, I'm not going to lie, I was trying to look at it from a very secular standpoint, and I felt like that really wasn't possible. Eventually, I understood that the lessons that he was trying to teach, they really facilitate themselves when they're looped in with faith and spirituality. And obviously, like, I don't want to sit here and push this book as this is going to solve all your problems, but if you take it as a guide for information, I really think he'll help you change the way you think.
I think it's important, it was a really good book, and I think it's important to, realize what he said, but, obviously you're not going to go up to somebody that's sad and tell them, oh, just think positive thoughts. Yeah. But, I mean, if you can, take that on yourself, it's, it makes it a lot simpler. Mm-hmm. Because you can purposely put positive thoughts in your head. Yeah. But you might not believe them at first. Mm-hmm. But you will eventually.
Exactly.
And this actually goes down to your brain chemistry. Mm-hmm. It's called neuroplasticity. So the more that you think a thought, mm-hmm. the more it becomes a habit, and mm-hmm. it'll continue. So if you purposely look for the good. Yeah. You'll just start seeing it everywhere. Exactly. I've heard this described as the red car phenomenon.
I was about to say the same thing. It's as soon as I started driving my Civic, then I could see all the Civics on the road.
Exactly. Yeah. So if you start, part of like treatment for depression. Like, and journaling too, you can like write down the positive things that happen in your day. So like once you purposely start to do that, then you'll just start seeing it automatically because your brain is like wired that way. So you can essentially rewire your brain.
Honestly, I also think it's so important to acknowledge that, like, just because people aren't seeing the effort you put in every day doesn't mean the work is for naught, right? Because I don't mean this to sound pessimistic, but, like, at the end of every single day, it really is just you. Like, in your mind, those thoughts, at the end of every single day, there will hopefully be some point where it is just you, and for you to be secure and happy there. Like, when things happen that frustrate you, Kaylin has talked about this in a previous episode, like, those feelings will bottle up and result in a destructive action. So take the time to have the conversation, and, like, you'll feel better for having had it, you know?
Yeah. I just think that, like, positive and negative thoughts, like, essentially hold, I guess, no weight, really, but equal weight. Like, there's no reason to believe negative thoughts more than positive ones.
Right.
That's just the way we're, like...
trained. Or, well...
even partly, like, we're conditioned that way, but also, like, our biology is set up like that. Like, we have a negativity bias. And, like, the reason for that is, like, for survival. Yeah. Because there's a bunch of ways you could die, but, like, you don't...
Come here. Get down there. Good girl.
Yeah, so, like, we tend to look at the negative automatically, but there's no concrete reason to believe negative thoughts more.
So that's... my thing is, how do you make the positive thoughts feel more true to you? Is it a repetition thing? Because for me, when something that's, like, I'm overthinking the crap out of something, I like to remind myself, if it's not going to matter in 5 years, don't spend more than 5 minutes worrying about it. And I would repeat that upwards of 25 times, because it's like, I need that to be the focus on what I'm thinking. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think repetition has a lot to do with it, kind of like fake it till you make it. I started doing this meditation practice called koans.
Okay.
So you, like, repeat a phrase and, like, meditate on the meaning and stuff. But, like, the guy I was listening to was talking about how you don't have to try that hard to, like, make it do something.
Right.
You kind of let the koan do its own work.
Okay.
So if you, like, repeat these positive thoughts, I'm trying not to use, like, religious terminology, but kind of like let God take control, you know, let the word inhabit you. And, like, let it do its thing almost. Okay,
and what has that done for you? Because in my experience, when I have really just, I'm putting my life in the hands of the world, in the hands of fate, I feel lighter, you know, because it's like the things I can control, which is the way I act, it's great, I can control that, but all of those issues that, like, were weighing on me before, it's like, there is somebody or something looking out for me and for these issues that will guide me. It doesn't matter if it happens today or 26 years from now.
Yeah.
It's just all about having the patience and the will and the belief that the universe is on the side of justice. You know what I'm saying?
Right, and you have that choice.
Exactly.
Because, like, it's equally true that the world is evil, but it's, like, you get to decide pretty much, and, like, that's where this, like, the power of thinking comes in, right? Is that you can choose to believe these negative thoughts, or you can choose to believe the positive ones, and there's not really any reason, not any real reason to believe either of them.
So side wherever you decide, but, like,
well, hopefully on the good side.
Exactly. We're sitting here thinking taking the positive side will always do you better. You know what I'm saying? Because you get in a car crash, it's like, damn, now I have to go through all this insurance paperwork. Now I have to go through X, Y, and Z. I'm alive. So is the person on the other side of the vehicle, you know? I'm thankful for that. I get to see my family, they get to see their family. Obviously, easier said than done, but rationalizing on what from this event can we learn from, can we grow from, it'll help us moving forward perpetually, as opposed to taking pauses. Because reflecting is important, but taking steps back in who you are as a human being in your development, obviously it's going to happen, but avoid it if you can. You know where I'm coming from?
I think so. Yeah.
I think that was good, man.
We go wrap it there, yeah.
See how long it is, but I think we covered everything. It's 40 minutes after something. See you later. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.